give you Professor Chad the Bird.
All right, class, listen up, sit up, spit out that fucking gum, Jeremy. I see you, goddammit. Today's lesson is about love and how it tastes, because I know the taste of love and hath drank it fully. Not just like a sip or a nice taster's glass, just for notes, nay. I got my beak in there and Nosferatu'd that shit, because once you start, sure, it's weird, it makes you a little nauseous, but once you know, you know. And many of you here know what I'm talking about, even if you don't know, you know. So listen up, because I'm talking to you about love, man. Now, I'm sure if you've been in Chicago after 2 p.m., you've done a shot of Malört before. And if you haven't, just, come on, just do it. Just take a dive, and then your transformation will be complete. You'll start saying French room and couple two tree. And you'll finally be able to navigate Lower Wacker. That's why you can't. That's why you've been lost. That's the reason. The rest of us get our daily Malört, got no issue, mostly because we don't go downtown. But still, pony up. You pay taxes here. Sure, it tastes like the inside of a Halloween mask, and afterward you wonder, oh man, am I just poisoning myself? And you start to worry that you might end up on a true crime podcast, and you'll end up fine and frankly impressed with yourself. And though it's like drinking a tea made from ground up mummies, despite its shocking flavor, it's actually got a pretty sweet story. The story of Malört is the story of true love. Like an ugly dog that farts too much. It may not be pretty, but eventually it smells like hound. See, back in the 1400s in Sweden, people had stomach issues. No doubt it was because it was 1400s. And folks believed there were trolls in your guts, and bathing was a hobby for the rich, but mostly because food was stored next to dead people, and they'd get parasites from time to time. Lucky, for all of the above reasons, people already figured out how to get drunk. Brandvin, which means burn wine because it burns, and that means it's working and doing something about them stomach worms. You kids in 2026, pay attention. Because if RFK Jr. gets his whole ass way, you're going to need some artisanal remedies mixed with fucking hard alcohol lest you get sick and tweet something makes the Fed Gestapo knock on your door. Meanwhile, back in... Oh man, that hit too hard, okay. Yeah. Willkommen Bienvenue, baby. Zoom Cabaret. Meanwhile, back in a simpler time when all you had to worry about was everything, thems from the day found that if they ate the leaves of a plant called Artemisia absinthium, it would knock out the gut bugs and their days would be slightly less horrible. They called the plant wormwood because it would stun the worms, or whatever it is in German. So they would mix the plant with the burn wine, because if you live in a world full of forest witches, gut snakes, and if you poop wrong, you could die, you might as well try anything. They called that medicinal boonshine Basque Brandvin, better known by the Swedish word for wormwood, malort. And though it tasted like somebody soaked a sweat sock in pine sol, your guts were saved! Simpler times, simple pleasures, tasted like a dumpster orange. Wormwood was also an ingredient in another Basque Brandvin called absinthe, and that sweet baby was super popular with the art crowd, probably because when you're on it in your tank, you paint well, or you like paintings more, and also because it had a pleasant menthol candy taste like a hotel mint dipped in acetone. Malört was less popular because of its bark mulch and gasoline flavor notes. So it became the Robitussin of Swedish medicinal boonshine. You only drank it when you had to, and the people that were into it seemed crazy. Flash forward to 1865. Don't make that face. If you can remember what happened on the last season of Severance, you can fucking follow this. The great Carl Jepson is born, immigrates from Sweden to the corner of Clybourne and Division, and opens a cigar-making business. During this time, his taste and smell senses were damaged because back then cigars were considered vitamins, and he stopped his business in 1920, right around Prohibition. During this super awesome time in American history, when the government thought that even though everything was terrible, the best idea would have been to make people stop drinking, Carl Jepson was out there thinking. He figured booze was illegal. Sure, good. Call the government because everyone's sure to be cooler now. But you know what's not illegal and has questionable quality control? Stomach remedies. So he was able to sell the Malört recipe that he brought from the old country because it was technically medicinal. Plus, tasted like if Waterloo came out with a Windex flavor. So no one believed anyone would actually drink it willingly. And it is said, due to his fried senses, Malört's robust flavor of lemon and turtle sweat was the only one of his homebrews that he could actually taste. Then came the Depression. Fuck yeah, season 2! That's when things get serious. 1933, when Chicago only had 3 stars. Prohibition ends, people kind of got over it and moved on to the new hotness, the Great Depression! A man named George Brody graduates from Northwestern Law School, but since everything's depressed because it's the Depression, he takes a job working for his wife's family business, DJ Beelzoff Products & Co. Brody hears tell of this Swedish stomach medicine that totally survived Prohibition and purchases Jepson's family Malört recipe because drinking it is hilarious, and this was the Depression. Selling Malört as part of his Red Horse line of liquors and in stoneware jugs, probably because it was the only material strong enough to contain this unkillable schnapps of napalm. Then comes World War II! Season 3! War! Terror! The writing that season was incredible. But in reality, which is where you live, World War II kicked the collective dick out of everybody and everything. But head down here in Chicago, Brody buys out Beelzoff Products, selling this little survivor liquor in glass bottles as Jepson's Swedish-style Brandvin, each containing a stem of actual wormwood, which must have worked hard on his guts, because it was the only one, it seemed, in America in a good fucking mood. Then, 1948. Brody changed the name of his company from the superbly rave-tastic DJ Beelzoffs to the more robust and subtle Red Horse Liquor, because Shotgun Fire Stallion was taken, apparently. And he commits to selling this hilarious dare that is Malört. But then, because season 4 has got to bring the drama, Carl Jepson left this planet in 1949. But he did it the way he lived, as a family man in his family apartment in Edgewater. And after a brief service at Nelson's funeral home on Foster and Ashland, he was cremated and his ashes were scattered in Graceland Cemetery. Meanwhile, George Brody, so bro sad his bro left this earth. That's bro love. Sells Red Horse Liquor in 1953 and forms Carl Jepson Co. and commits to only marketing and selling Jepson's Malört. In 1954, Gustav Adolf IV, King of Sweden, gave George Brody a medal for preserving Swedish culture. Perhaps it was a joke. Perhaps it was a deliberate fuck off to the meatball, herring, and pancake community that cornered brunch for eternity. Whatever it was, I believe it was love. And those that know the twinkle in the eye feeling of having a pal from out of town shoot a Malört on suggestion knows that feeling. Because love is unkillable. Like Malört, a survivor, it endures across space, time, and drink trends. Malört endures to this day, daring death to take it out. Death being too nervous to try it because they said it tasted stinky. In fact, the brawn and burliness required to even attempt a Malört was so fartastically hilarious, like a whoopee cushion at a funeral, that it became the entire Malört brand, becoming known as the two-fisted liquor. Mostly because you would rather get fisted twice than drink it. But I say, why choose? Life is short. One such glorious post read as follows, and this is true in a direct quote. Challenge to the braggart who says I can drink anything. Jepson's is a liquor so bold, rugged, brash, and rough, your first sip rudely warns, look out, here I come. Brusque and harsh, the liquor Jepson takes raw courage to down the first round, then dares you to order a second shot. No better date exists than today to accept the challenge of your first drink. For the braggart who stays the first few rounds, odds are he'll be Jepson's forever. And even the original label on the bottle read, the first shot is hard to swallow. Persevere! Make it past 2 shot glasses, and with the third, you could be ours forever. If that doesn't sound like love to me. And like love, Malört and all the places previously noted are still in Chicago today. Because that's the thing about Malört. It survived. It survived the journey from Sweden to America, then survived 2 world wars, prohibition, and a depression. The only wormwood beverage sold legally in the United States during all those times, even when wormwood, booze, fun, joy, and love was illegal. Even its flavor stays with you forever. You'll never get it out of your face. It's part of you. The moment, shellacked for all time. It carried through. Stayed true to who it was through thick and thin. Teams change in sports. Players move from state to state. The Boston Knickerbockers became the Red Sox, became a bunch of hairy Vikings from the mountains that play baseball. Technology changes from phonographs to record players to cassettes to CDs to everything forever, and it can take a picture. People change, the world changes. Chicago changes. Through it all, there's one drink that never did, never tried to fit in, survived the way it is. The story of Malört is the story of true love. It may not be pretty, but it'll never leave you, even after you drink it. And it's all right here in Chicago. Thank you. Yeah. Overcome with emotion.
Get to class!